Hello and welcome back to Pull the Lever, a commentary series about The Emperor's New Groove, hosted by me, Christopher Bingham. This is a bonus video that I wanted to put together that essentially collects loads of trivia and fun facts and extra little bits and pieces that didn't fit into my first 3 episodes. So it'll make a lot more sense if you've already watched those videos. You can find the playlist on my channel. The story of Emperor's New Groove involves a lot of what we call lost media. Pieces of art, design, music, and animation that have mostly been lost to time or are locked up in Disney's vault. This comes with the making of any film, but again, with things like the Sweatbox, we're so much more aware of what we have lost with The Emperor's New Groove than we usually are. In this video, I'm going to present a big list of lost media that is related to The Emperor's New Groove or Kingdom of the Sun, but before that, let's talk about Easter eggs and trivia. Remember Yzma's original sidekick, the stone accountant Huaca? In a lot of Easter egg rundowns for this movie, people mention a reference to Huaca's design in the dinner party scene. This can be seen when Kronk lights the candle holder. Although I'm not personally convinced it's a deliberate reference to Huaca, because this is a design element that just turns up a lot. You see it in the opening shot, you see it in various buildings around the town. Also in the dinner party scene, however, there is a deliberate, very subtle foreshadowing of what is about to happen to Kuzco. When Yzma tips out her drink into the pot of a nearby cactus, we cut away to other characters, and when we next see that cactus, it looks like a llama.
What? A llama? He's supposed to be dead!
Yeah, weird.
Speaking of that opening baby shot though, it's only on screen for a few seconds, but you can spot a bunch of toys in it. Not only is one of them shaped like a llama, but there are also other animals, a bird and a whale, that Kuzco will turn into right at the end of the film. Later in the movie, outside the restaurant, you can see a sign that pays homage to an American staple, Bob's Big Boy Burgers. I had never noticed this one before, but it's really fun. Towards the end of the film, when they are looking at the potions, they say,
lions, tigers, bears.
Oh my.
Which is a very direct nod to Wizard of Oz.
Lions and tigers and bears.
Oh my!
Lions and tigers and bears.
Oh my!
There are also some really nice musical Easter eggs in the score, courtesy of John Debney. One that I've seen mentioned a lot is that during the scene where Kronk is leaving the city with Kuzco in a bag, the music sounds a bit like Mission Impossible, which is okay, fair enough. It sounds a little bit like that kind of thing. But for some reason, nobody I've seen on YouTube mentions the very obvious reference to Superman during the jungle rescue. The bit that's like, bam ba ba, that's Superman. And they're not so much Easter eggs, but throughout the movie, I really appreciate that in the background paintings, you can spot objects directly drawn from the research trip to Machu Picchu and the objects the team photographed or brought home. Things like this, and this, and this. This isn't an exhaustive list of trivia because you can always find more little things to say about a film, but I've included a few that I found really interesting. One of them is that when they were writing the big opening song, Perfect World, Sting thought that he was a bit too old and mellow to sing it himself. He wanted someone, in his own words, younger and more energetic. And they ended up getting Tom Jones, who is much older than him. Another bit of music-related trivia is that Patrick Warburton improvised Kronk's little theme music, which is a no-brainer, like of course he did. What's fun is that he then had to sign away the rights with Disney Legal. They wrote up a contract, presumably so he wouldn't come back asking for royalties. Apparently, The Emperor's New Groove is the first Disney animated feature to depict a pregnant woman.
Okay, everybody, move aside. A lady with a baby coming through.
The movie does feature some small CG assets, although I don't think that it used any of the big, deep environment technology that movies like Tarzan did. Those CG assets, as far as I have found, are the cart, the tree trunk, the bag, which that surprised me because I had never noticed that the bag was a CG prop. And I haven't seen anything about it in the materials, but I think this plate is CG. I don't know, I could be wrong. In the final act of the movie, Yzma gets magically transformed into a little grey kitten, which is interesting considering that she is played by Eartha Kitt. It's in the name, who also famously played Catwoman in Batman. In the interest of being incredibly thorough, I haven't found any first-hand confirmation that this is because of that, but it can't be a coincidence. It just can't be. What is a fun coincidence, however, is that 15 years prior to this film, Eartha Kitt and Patrick Warburton appeared together on screen in a couple of terrible exploitation movies called Dragonard and Master of Dragonard Hill that everyone involved would rather forget. They were filmed back-to-back in the same year. Warburton would have been 22 at the time. And in the Vulture article, Patrick Warburton reminisces about working on these films and a particular evening after the films had wrapped when he went to go visit Eartha performing at the Roosevelt Hotel. And they're sitting there on the couch together, and Patrick Warburton kind of like reminisces about how art copied reality with the casting of Kronk and Yzma. I'm gonna let you speculate! I'm gonna let you speculate! About what else might have happened in that hotel room. And I, personally, I'm gonna move on and not say a word. The Emperor's New Groove had such amazing success on home media release that it led to a couple of big spin-offs. One of them was a straight-to-tape sequel. It's not worth analyzing. It's just a very simple kids' film. It was rushed, and it was done fairly cheaply. The animation isn't as interesting. Everybody did an amazing job on it, but it is a very simple film aimed at kind of mopping up a much younger demographic. The only thing that really excites me about Kronk's New Groove is the fact that we get to see lots more locations around this world. The animation is noticeably less refined, but the backgrounds, they're the same quality, and there are so many new ones that they had to make to fit that story. I've just kind of enjoyed scrubbing through it and looking at all the backgrounds. It also led to a TV spin-off called The Emperor's New School, and I'm going to be very transparent here, and I haven't seen it. I haven't watched any of this. But from what I found, it's actually really highly regarded. It ran for quite a while, and everybody seems to have a lot of really nice things to say about it. There is lots of really interesting trivia to be had about The Emperor's New School, including this one story that I loved that was mentioned in Beware the Groove. Apparently, when they were pitching the show, instead of doing a normal pitch document, the creators wrote it from the perspective of Kuzco. They wrote it from his perspective to Disney, which I thought was a really fun story and a good lesson in kind of using unusual approaches in pitches, because clearly it worked.
I wrote the pitch as a letter from Kuzco to Walt Disney Company explaining why they're making his show. Of course you're going to make a show about me, and here's why. So he just assumed it was going, and so it was just a fun way to actually did the pitch in his voice.
With the story of The Emperor's New Groove being what it is, it can be really fun to go spelunking for little pieces of the Kingdom of the Sun. And over the course of working on this series, I found quite a lot. I might even try and consolidate it into a Google Drive or something. Don't tell Disney! There's a lot of really interesting and insightful stuff that you can find when you look for it. Starting with concept art, there's a lot of early concept art on a couple of Disney fan wikis. You can also see quite a lot in the Sweatbox, although of course the quality of the leaked version of the Sweatbox is really, really low, so sometimes it's difficult to kind of see any real detail. I found some really wonderful high-quality character concept art collected by former Disney artist Sandro Cluzo. There's loads of stuff here, including characters and designs that I didn't talk about. Because of its transition from being a big Disney epic musical to not being a big Disney epic musical, a lot of the snippets we can collect about Kingdom of the Sun are music. Starting with the biggest stuff, I noticed that about half of the soundtrack is not available on digital platforms anymore. This can happen for all kinds of reasons, and it's a reminder that you shouldn't rely on things like Spotify forever. If you really care about something, especially something a little bit more niche, get it physically. I picked up a copy of the soundtrack CD on eBay, and I'm really glad I did. The song Perfect World has a verse that doesn't appear in the film but does appear on the CD, and the lyrics to that verse include the phrase Emperor's New Clothes.
He's a head in the Emperor's New Clothes.
And the last verse on the CD version is an alternate take to the one used in the movie, which I thought was interesting. Perfect World Reprise also appears on the CD and features a massive, amazing instrumental section, as well as tons of very funny ad-libs from Tom Jones. It feels like they kind of wound him up and just left him running.
Do you like him? All right.
But the reason I bought the CD was for the song One Day She'll Love Me. You can hear a few choice seconds of this in the Sweatbox, and I really wanted to listen to the full song. In my opinion, it's a much better song than Funny Friend that I really genuinely enjoy, although it's a bit rough around the edges. I can kind of hear what the cast version might have sounded like, and I think it would have been really, really good. Personally, I think this is probably the greatest loss of all the music. The fact that we never got a really polished version of One Day She'll Love Me. But for anyone who really wants to piece together all the little fragments of lost songs that appear in the Sweatbox, here are your time codes, people. Get a pen. At about 4:44 to 5:10, you can hear Sting and David working on the song about being a llama and walking proud.
All along the mountain tree, if you're walking like a llama, then you just can't feel.
There's another clip of the same song at about 15:55. At 16:45, you can hear a demo of Walk the Llama Llama being performed by Sting. You can hear the whole of this song performed on the CD version by Rascal Flatts, and I absolutely hate it. From just before 19 minutes up to about the 21-minute mark, you can hear a long section of One Day She'll Love Me. And as far as I can tell, it's more or less the version that you get on the CD.
To meet in that confusion was the problem. One day they both imagine that they will love each other.
Starting at around 23:30, you get amazing clips of Eartha Kitt performing Yzma's song, Snuff Out the Light. Although this ended up having nothing to do with the story, they did mix and master it, and you can listen to the whole of this song on the soundtrack CD.
And the men who adored you no longer swoon.
At around 35:20, Sting and David are working on a song from the Rock character's perspective, from Waka's perspective.
Someone said, oh, it's like, why can't the human be more like a rock? Which reminded me of a song from My Fair Lady called Why Can't the Woman Be More Like a Man, which is sung by Rex Harrison. Which
would have been really fun, actually, although I doubt they finished writing it, because around this time that character got cut.
Why can't a human be more like a rock? Dependable, unshakable, stoic.
At 1 hour, 8 minutes and 30, you can get a sample of what it would be like for Sting to perform Perfect World. You can see him singing a demo with David accompanying on solo piano.
Bots and dictators, political manipulators, there are blue bloods with the intellects of fleas.
At 1 hour and 10 minutes, just after we see them recording with Tom Jones, we witness the other great tragedy of the lost media of Emperor's New Groove. This is Eartha Kitt singing a variation of Perfect World, but about Yzma, and it's so good.
I'll be the sovereign queen of the nation. I'm the chicest chick in creation. I'm the cat with all the cream and ooh la la.
Eartha Kitt is a force of nature. The performance is really, really cool, and it is a genuine shame that this version of the song is nowhere to be found in the finished film.
What's my name? What's my name? What you say?
And that it's not even, they didn't even mix and master it for the CD. This exists on a tape reel somewhere in Disney archives, and I think that if there's one thing that can unify all Emperor's New Groove fans, I think that we can all unite in anger that this has never been released. And hey, Disney, I'm speaking just to Disney now. Everybody else can leave the room. Disney, hey, it's your boy. This year, is the 25th anniversary of Emperor's New Groove. I know you probably don't have it written on the calendar, but if you wanted to do something nice for all the fans of this film, you could dig this out of archives, please. I'll even mix it pro bono. I've got a very good mastering engineer. I'll pay for it. And if you wanted to do like a 4K anniversary re-release with a soundtrack, with an extended soundtrack, with all this lost music on it, I'm pretty sure there's a few thousand people in the comments here who would buy it. I don't really have an outro for this one, but if you're still here, I hope that you enjoyed the info dump as much as I enjoyed collecting it all together. This has been an absolutely wonderful project to work on, both as an animation producer myself and as a lifelong fan of Emperor's New Groove. I want to leave you with a bit of a question, and it's because I'm genuinely looking for recommendations. I've already mentioned Cats Don't Dance and Garfield and other films that the creative team from this movie worked on. But I'd love to know, if you're as much of a fan of New Groove as I am, what is the film you would double feature it with? Let me know your recommendations in the comments below. And thank you once again for watching. Ba-dum-ba-dum-bam-ba-ba.